Okay, this is the feedback on the AWA Lottery for May 6th, 2019. This is an argument, and what it says is, in a controlled laboratory study of liquid hand soaps, a concentrated solution of extra strength ultra clean hand soap produced a 40% greater reduction in harmful bacteria than did the liquid hand soaps currently used in our hospital. So, I see some assumptions here. Number one, we have this idea of concentrated solution. We have this, it's a controlled laboratory study. This 40% is actually significant. Another assumption is actually reducing the number of bacteria lowers the chance of disease, right? Maybe it doesn't. During our recent test with doctors and nurses, the hospital reports significantly fewer cases of patient infection. So this might be for another reason. And also look at this word reported. Where is it? Right there. So, there's an assumption there that they're actually reporting the truth. Than did any of the other hospitals. Therefore, to prevent serious patient infections, we should supply our Ultra Clean at all hand washing stations. And so here's another thing. People will actually use it. So this argument is just full of assumptions, and I think they're pretty easy to find. All right, so let's get into it. This is Benny, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, from India. In a memo, the director of hospitals group, the director of the hospital group recommends the usage of Ultra Clean in all the hand washing stations of hospitals to prevent, so we don't need this comma, serious infections in patient. So this inpatient is almost like an adjective, but she wants a prepositional phrase here. So that's a deadly sin. What she's really trying to say is in patients, something like that. So that's a deadly sin, wrong part of speech. The director based his recommendation on two assumptions. Laboratory results of Ultra Clean eliminated 4%, in contrast. I wouldn't call that an assumption. This is almost like a fact. Maybe it really did eliminate 40% here. I don't think they're lying about that. I just think maybe they might be misinterpreting it, or the 40% is significant, or that these laboratory experiments will carry over to the actual hospital. So I think Benny could have done a better job identifying these assumptions. Look at the other one, 20% reduction. Again, that's probably also true. Maybe not with the word report, but the assumptions were rather glaring in the argument. And I just don't feel like these two really hit the mark. In my opinion, there were clearer assumptions you could have identified. If these assumptions are not substantiated, and then now we have no subject here, another deadly sin, dramatically weakens. Yeah, so not a very effective introduction, unfortunately. We have a lot of grammar mistakes. The assumptions are not really what I would consider the glaring assumptions from the argument. The thesis is missing a subject, grammatical. So that's a pretty big deal. All right, moving on. First of all, the writer, without evidence, okay, so we need to put another comma here, attributes the reduction in infection in hospitals is mainly due to the usage of a hand wash and no other. So interesting, she has a pretty bad introduction, but this is a good topic sentence. That's definitely an assumption, right? There could be other factors. However, it may not be the case. Perhaps what are these? Resulted in a combination of several factors, such as patients never came in contact with such harmful bacteria in the first place. In that case, disinfection using a hand never arises. In that case, disinfection using a hand wash might have never arisen. Moreover, there is also a chance patients were provided with antibacterial medicine, which boosts the immune system to fight against their harmful bacteria. thus reducing the probability of getting. If either of these scenarios is true, then the author's contention that the infection was forestalled using ult does not hold water. So pretty good. I mean, the grammar is not great, but this is basically the structure I teach. So she kind of nailed it. Just the writing quality is not that great. The writing quality could have been better, but she's definitely on the right track here. Much better than the introduction, okay? Second of all, the director of groups claims that the new extra strength Ultra Clean can annihilate, so word choice here, 40% more bacteria in comparison to source of okay, good, but there's again, not really an assumption here. I think this is true. I mean, at least in the laboratory setting, you know, in the laboratory setting, he basically said we saw that there was a 40% reduction in bacteria. He's not saying that this 40% reduction will carry over everywhere. I don't think that's one of the assumptions. He's just using this as evidence that this stuff is effective. So I don't think this is a very effective topic sentence. As the chemical strength increases, the potential to kill the bacteria, which also risks the good bacteria. Ooh, that's a weird sentence. As the chemical strength increases, the potential to kill bacteria increases, which also risks the good bacteria. Huh? If the good bacteria die out too, it will result in counterproductive and thus in counterproductive. So we have a lot of grammar issues here. A lot of grammar issues. This is a run-on sentence. This needs to be a noun, but it's an adjective, and thus elevates the chances of infection as there can be more infectious bacteria, which finds this new condition more conducive and germinate. Woo! Woo! Yeah, Benny. That is a mouthful. That one. Yeah, you definitely see. Look how long your essay is. If I did a word count here. See how long it is? It's 800 or 730 words. My advice would be to reduce that number quite significantly and focus a lot more on your grammar, your syntax, your spelling, your punctuation, things of that nature. In addition, even if the hand wash is effective, comma, perhaps few patients never uses, so that's a grammar mistake, the same as supposedly there are no hard and fast rules to ensure the efficacy of using if both of these cases fail, the also claims awareness rate. Yeah, I mean this body, mainly because of grammar issues, just doesn't really work. Much of it is nearly incomprehensible, which is kind of like the death knell of writing, right? You want your reader to be able to understand. I think the first body was pretty good, and the second body we kind of lost track a little bit. Finally, the directors presume that hands, that's another grammar mistake, are the only and main source of bacteria. Do they? I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, hand washing. Actually, this is good. Yeah, this is a pretty good one. I like this. Pretty good assumption right here. Identification. Therefore, he concludes that's a run-on sentence. Run-on sentence. Washing hands with a sanitizer is a viable good. It could be also possible noxious bacteria can enter the system from other routes, word choice, that have not been, so no comma, that have not been assessed before. Oh, I think she means routes. Is that what she means? That have not been assessed before such through food tray, the bed sheets of food trays, water system. Yeah. Any of these items can carry a contagious body. The working staff could be one of the sources as they regularly move in and out of the premise. Inadvertently, that's another run-on sentence. This paragraph mostly works with the ideas. It's just the grammar. Yeah. If hospitals solely focus on hand washing, it would be inept. Yeah, this is emotional, non-academic language. To prevent infection, thus the author's is invalid. Is it? It might be invalid. Remember, you need to use maybe language. Yeah, so I don't really need to read the conclusion. So we have, in terms of ideas, two bodies that kind of work and one body that doesn't. in terms of grammar, none of the bodies really work. There are just too many mistakes, unfortunately. So again, Benny has an essay that is nearly 800 words long. I mean, I really cannot give you better advice than shorten this and really improve the writing, not the ideas, but the writing itself. You know, the grammar, the punctuation, the syntax, which is grammar, the word choice, etc. All of that should be kind of priority number one if you're really looking to get into a 4, 5, or a 6. What you'll notice is people who get 5s and 6s, their ideas are not necessarily better than your ideas. Not Benny, but all of you guys. It's just that their writing is smoother, more coherent, a little bit more deft, more skilled, that kind of things. So that would be my advice here. So I have no choice but to give this a 3.0 just because of the grammar issues. All right, so thank you so much, Benny. I hope you found this helpful, and we will talk to you later.